All right. Hello, hello. Coach Kevin here. Welcome, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to do is share my screen with y'all. And here we go. And for those of you who might be here for the very first time, or maybe you're watching this as a recording later on, want you to know that we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup, has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. So Facebook group, I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. How can you find us? Well, you could log into your own Facebook account and go where it says search Facebook and type it in there and it will come up. The other way you can find us is you can go to facebook.com/groups/ I want to be really rich, as if it's one word. So why might you want to actually come join us? A few different reasons. Reason number one, if we have any special things to announce, we'll typically pin that up to the top for you guys. The other reason, for instance, as you can see right here, boom, there's yesterday's recording. As long as I remember to hit the record button, which I typically do, we will make sure and typically have this up either the same day or the morning after whatever Zoom meeting we have. So if you happen to attend a meeting and you really like what was said and you want to review some things, you can come here to review them. The other thing you can do is, let's say we're in the process of going through some material. Sometimes we choose things that just take a day. Sometimes things take a few days. Sometimes things take a week or longer. Well, if you have, let's say you're here with us on Monday and you're here with us on Tuesday, but something comes up Wednesday that you can't make it, then you're with us Thursday, Friday. Well, you can always pop in, find Wednesday's recording and review that and get caught up with us if you want to. So it's also a place where we can interact. Sometimes people ask questions and things here, where we can interact outside of the 45 minutes or so we have together Monday through Friday. Okay. Next thing I want to share with you is what we actually are in the process of studying right now and going through. We're going through a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and that is by Joseph Murphy. Book's been written a while ago, and I have a Kindle version, I have an Audible version, I have a paperback version lying around somewhere. I've read this book 3 or 4 times in my lifetime and decided to pull it back out again after we finished up the last material that we were studying, because if your subconscious mind is not cooperating with you, it is actually sabotaging what you want. And if you're trying to manifest more money and wealth in your life, and your subconscious mind is in opposition to what it is that you want, it's going to actually make it very difficult, matter of fact, pretty much impossible, to receive what it is you truly want. Your subconscious mind is that powerful. Your subconscious actually controls about 95 to 97% of everything that goes on in your life and that you do, and the actions that you take throughout any given day. So, what I did is, so that everybody could have a copy of this and we could all have the same copy and find a free one, I just typed in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind PDF into Google, and then some searches came up. I like this one. This one, it says The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, that says dash the Logo Center. Who cares about the Logo Center? Logocenter.org. I mean, that's kind of actually irrelevant to this. But what I did is I tried several of these and I liked this one. I clicked on that particular link, and what popped up is this, except it popped up on page one. Okay. Um, so here was the cool thing about it. Didn't ask for any emails, didn't ask for a name or nothing. It just popped up. So what I did is, after it popped up, is I went in, bam, right here, and downloaded it onto my computer. So you guys, if you want to download it onto your computer, your phone, your tablet, whatever, this is a way you can get a copy of what we're going through for free. And it's the same one we're using, which makes it that much easier to follow along with us. So we're on page 110 right now in this particular PDF file. And for those of you that are here for the first time, let me kind of explain how this works. If you're typing things into chat, just need you to know that I'm not paying any attention to chat. I'm not right now, and I won't be anytime during this Zoom meeting. What we do is we try and save about 10, 15 minutes towards the end to give you the opportunity to share what it is that you want to share and ask the questions that you want to ask. Okay. So you definitely have your opportunity to speak and get your questions answered and share things that are relevant to what we're doing. But I just want you to know, for sake of flow and whatnot, that I don't pay attention to chat. And so I wouldn't be responding through anything that you put up on chat. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start where we left off yesterday, and I will add in commentary and things when I feel it might be appropriate or helpful. And at this point, I'm going to get a drink of water here, and then we're going to go. Oh, just a quick comment before we hop in. Yesterday, we had someone on the meeting who said, "Hey, you know what? This meetup group is called I Want to Be Really Rich, and I do not apologize for it." And the information we went over today, I don't see how that was, specifically relevant to making more money or obtaining more wealth. What I had to explain, which is fine, is that it has everything to do with it. Your subconscious mind will either become your best friend or your worst enemy when it comes to receiving and manifesting what you want in your life. So even though the author in the particular things we were reading yesterday didn't talk specifically to the terms of money and wealth, actually in previous chapters he has, okay, and in future chapters he will. But what he's talking about is how your subconscious mind works, but not just to help you understand how it works, but helps you understand how to change the programs in your subconscious mind so that they are actually helping you instead of fighting you. Okay. So I just wanted to make that clear. Sometimes when we're going through something and it doesn't say the words money a bunch or wealth a bunch, you're thinking, well, what does this have to do with money and wealth? Look, if your subconscious mind is in opposition to wealth and money, and you may not even know it, then it's going to sabotage you in trying to manifest those things. So I chose this particular book because the author is phenomenal at explaining what's going on, but also really, really good at explaining how to fix the problem. Okay, here we go. How an outstanding physician solved the problem of diabetes. In the 1920s, Dr. Frederick Banting, a brilliant Canadian physician and researcher, focused his attention on the ravages of diabetes. At that time, medical science offered no effective method of arresting the disease. Dr. Banting spent considerable time experimenting and studying the international literature on the subject, but every path he explored seemed to be a dead end. One night, exhausted by still another long day of what seemed to be wasted efforts, he fell asleep. While he lay sleeping, his subconscious mind instructed him to extract the residue from the degenerated pancreatic duct of dogs. This inspiration led him to the discovery of insulin, which has helped countless millions of people since. You will note that Dr. Banting had been consciously dwelling on the problem for some time, seeking a solution, a way out. His subconscious responded accordingly. It does not follow that you will always get an answer overnight. The answer may come not from or may not come for some time. Do not be discouraged. Keep on turning the problem over every night to the subconscious mind prior to sleep, as if you had never done it before. Let me repeat that. Keep on turning the problem over every night to the subconscious mind prior to sleep, as if you had never done it before. If you continue to experience a delay in arriving at a solution, maybe you're thinking of the question you're presenting to your subconscious mind as a major one that will take a long time to solve. This would not be surprising. We are usually tempted to believe our problems are difficult. If they weren't, they wouldn't be problems. However, this is a mistake. Your subconscious mind is timeless and spaceless. Go to sleep believing you have the answer now. Do not postulate that the answer will have to wait to come in the future. Have an abiding faith in the outcome. Become convinced now as you read this book that there is an answer and a perfect solution for you. How a scientist escaped from a Soviet concentration camp. Dr. Lothar von Blankschmidt, an outstanding electronics engineer, was locked up in a Soviet prison camp during World War II. He credits his survival and eventual escape to freedom to the powers of his subconscious mind. I was a prisoner of war in a coal mine in Russia, and I saw men dying all around me in that prison compound. We were watched over by brutal guards, arrogant officers, and sharp, fast-thinking commissars. After a short medical checkup, a quota of coal was assigned to each person. My quota was 300 pounds per day. In case any man did not fill his quota, his small food ration was cut down, and in a short time, he was resting in the cemetery. I started concentrating on my escape. I knew that my subconscious mind would somehow find a way. My home in Germany was destroyed, my family wiped out. All my friends and former associates were either killed in the war or were in concentration camps. I said to my subconscious mind, I want to go to Los Angeles, and you will find the way. I had seen pictures of Los Angeles, and I remembered some of the boulevards very well as some of the buildings. Every day and night, I would imagine I was walking down Wilshire Boulevard with an American girl whom I met in Berlin prior to the war. She is now my wife. In my imagination, we would visit the stores, ride buses, and eat in restaurants. Every night, I made it a special point to drive my imaginary American automobile up and down the boulevards of Los Angeles. I made all this vivid and real. These pictures in my mind were as real and as natural to me as one of the trees outside the prison camp. Every morning, the chief guard would count the prisoners as they were lined up. He would call out 1, 2, 3, etc. And when 17 was called out, which was my number in sequence, I stepped aside. In the meantime, the guard was called away for a minute or so, and on his return, he started by mistake on the next man as number 17. When the crew returned in the evening, the number of men was the same, and I was not missed, and the discovery would take a long time. I walked out of the camp undetected and kept walking for 24 hours, resting in a deserted town the next day. I was able to live by fishing and killing some wildlife. I found coal trains going to Poland and traveled on them by night until finally I reached Poland with the help of my friends, or help of friends. I made my way to Lucerne, Switzerland. One evening at the Palace Hotel, Lucerne, I had a talk with a man and his wife from the United States of America. This man asked me if I would care to be a guest at his home in Santa Monica, California. I accepted. And when I arrived in Los Angeles, I found that their chauffeur drove me along Wilshire Boulevard and many other boulevards which I had imagined so vividly in the long months in the Russian coal mines. I recognized the buildings which I had seen in my mind so often. It actually seemed as if I had been in Los Angeles before. I had reached my goal. I will never cease to marvel at the wonders of the subconscious mind. Truly, it has ways we know not of. Now, just to share a little commentary here, he did not spend any of his time, at least as far as we can tell here, trying to figure out how to escape the prison camp. He wasn't focused on how to escape the prison camp. He was focused on where he wanted to be as if he was not in the prison camp. That's important to understand. So he put his energy, his effort, his visualization, and his positive emotion into his imagination and his visualization of being in California, in the Los Angeles area, okay? It's because he did this that his subconscious mind eventually accepted that, and it had to get to work working with God and the universe to actually bring that to reality, to bring him to Los Angeles. So a lot of times we're trying to solve something and we're trying to figure out how, instead of looking at ourselves beyond that place to the future as if what we already want has happened. He didn't even focus on leaving prison. He focused on being where it was he really wanted to be. And again, his subconscious mind eventually accepted that, and then God and the universe had to deliver it. Okay. I like his last line there. I will never cease to marvel at the wonders of the subconscious mind. Truly, it has ways we know not of. How archaeologists and paleontologists reconstruct ancient scenes. Your subconscious mind has a memory of everything that has ever happened in the history of our species. Archaeologists studying ancient ruins and the countless artifacts left by people of former cultures can put imaginative perception to marvelous use in their work. Their subconscious mind can aid them in reconstructing ancient scenes. The dead past becomes alive once more. Looking at the fragments of these ancient buildings and studying the pottery, statuary, tools, and household utensils of earlier civilizations, the scientist is able, through the common databanks of the universal mind, to know how, when, and why these objects were created. The keen concentration and disciplined imagination of the scientist awakens the latent powers of the subconscious mind. This gives him the ability to clothe the ancient structures with roofs and surround them with gardens, pools, and fountains. The fossil remains are clothed with eyes, sinews, and muscles, and they again walk and talk. The past becomes the living present, and we find that in the mind there is no time or space. Through disciplined, controlled, and directed imagination, you can be a companion of the most scientific and inspired thinkers of all time. How to receive guidance from your subconscious. When you have to make what you think it will be, or what you think will be a difficult decision, or when you fail to see the solution to your problem, begin at once to think constructively about it. If you're fearful and worried, you're not really thinking. True thinking is free from fear. Here are the steps of a simple technique you can use to receive guidance on any subject. Quiet the mind and still the body. Tell the body to relax. It has to obey you. It has no volition, initiative, or self-conscious intelligence. Your body is an emotional disk that records your beliefs and impressions. Mobilize your attention. Focus your thought on the solution to your problem. Try to solve it with your conscious mind. Think how happy you would be about the perfect solution. Sense the feeling that you would have if the perfect answer were yours now. This is what I just read there is probably the most important thing he said so far. Think how happy you would be about the perfect solution. Sense the feeling you would have if the perfect answer were yours now. Let your mind play with this mood of happiness and contentment in a relaxed way, then drop off to sleep. When you awaken, if you do not have the answer, get busy with something else. While you're preoccupied with something else, it is possible that the answer will pop into your mind. In receiving guidance from the subconscious mind, the simple way is the best. Here's an illustration. I once lost a valuable ring that was a family heirloom. I looked everywhere for it, but it was nowhere to be found. I was worried and distressed by the loss. That night, I talked to my subconscious mind in the same way that I would talk to anyone. Before dropping off to sleep, I said to it, "You know all things, you know where that ring is, and you now reveal to me where it is." In the morning, I woke up suddenly with these words ringing in my ear, "Ask Robert." This seemed very strange to me. The only Robert I could think of offhand was the 9-year-old son of my next door neighbor. Why should he know anything about the location of my ring? However, I followed the inner voice of intuition. Let me repeat this, or let me share with you. So what he was told to do seemed strange. That is going to happen for you guys too sometimes. You're going to be told to do something. You're going to have this inspiration, intuition, revelation to do something or say something, to call someone, text someone, go somewhere. and it's just not going to make sense. Okay. And you're going to ask yourselves questions like, why should he know anything about the location of my ring? But here's the key. However, I followed the inner voice of intuition. I found Robert in his yard and described the ring to him. You haven't seen it, have you? I asked. Oh, sure, he replied. I found it in the bushes yesterday when I was playing hide and seek. I didn't know whose it was. So I took it inside and put it on my desk. I was going to put up a sign about it, but I forgot. The subconscious mind will always answer if you trust it. His subconscious revealed the location of his father's will. Hugo R. was a young man who attended my lectures in Los Angeles. He told me of his experience with the power of subconscious mind. His father had died suddenly, apparently leaving no will. However, his sister told him that their father had once mentioned making his will and told her that he had done his best to make it fair to everyone. Hugo realized that if his late father were ruled to have died intestate without a will, the property would be divided up according to rules made by the state. It was not likely that this would fit their father's desires. Moreover, legal fees would consume much of the estate. He and his sister looked everywhere, but they could not locate the will. They began to wonder whether the will existed at all. Then Hugo remembered what he had learned about using the subconscious mind. Before going to sleep, he talked to his deeper mind, saying, I now turn this request over to the subconscious mind. It knows where my father's will is and reveals it to me. Then he condensed his request down to one word, answer. He repeated it over and over again like a lullaby. He went to sleep with the word answer echoing in his mind. The next morning, he woke up with a tremendous urge to visit a certain bank in downtown Los Angeles. He wondered about this. Had he heard his father mention it once? Had he noticed a letter from the bank in his father's mail? He didn't know, but he did know that he had to check out this hunch. He went to the bank that morning. Eventually, a bank officer confirmed that there was a safe deposit box in the vault, registered in the name of his late father. When the box was opened, the missing will was discovered inside. Your thought as you go to sleep arouses the powerful latency that is within you. Suppose you're wondering if you should sell your home, buy a certain stock, sever a partnership, move to New York, or stay in Los Angeles, dissolve the present contract, or take a new one. Do this. Sit quietly in your armchair or at the desk in your office. Remember, there is a universal law of action and reaction. The action is your thought. The reaction is the response from your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is reactive and reflexive. That is its nature. It rebounds, rewards, and repays. It follows the law of correspondence. It responds by corresponding. As you contemplate right action, you will automatically experience a reaction or response in yourself that represents the guidance or answer of your subconscious mind. In seeking guidance, you simply think quietly about the right action. This means that you're using the infinite intelligence resident in the subconscious mind to the point where it begins to use you. From there on, your course of action is directed and controlled by the subjective wisdom within you, which is all wise and omnipotent. Your decision will be right. There will be only right action because you are under a subjective compulsion to do the right thing. I use the word compulsion because the law of subconscious is compulsion. The secret of guidance. The secret of guidance or right action is to mentally devote yourself to the right answer until you find its response in you. The response is a feeling, an inner awareness, an overpowering hunch whereby you know that you know. You've used the power to the point where it begins to use you. You cannot possibly fail or make one false step while operating under the subjective wisdom within you. You'll find that all your ways are pleasantness and your paths are peace. So some highlights to recall here. Remember that the subconscious mind has determined the success and wonderful achievements of all great scientific workers. By giving your conscious attention and devotion to the solution of a perplexing problem, your subconscious mind gathers all the necessary information and presents it full blown to the conscious mind. If you're wondering about the answer to a problem, try to solve it objectively. Get all the information you can from research and also from others. If no answer comes, turn it over to your subconscious mind prior to sleep. And the answer always comes, it never fails. You do not always get the answer overnight. Keep on turning your request over to your subconscious until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. You delay the answer by thinking it will take a long time or that it is a major problem. Your subconscious has no problem. It knows only the answer. Believe that you have the answer now. Feel the joy of the answer and the way you would feel if you had the perfect answer. Your subconscious will respond to your feeling. Any mental picture, backed by faith and perseverance, will come to pass through the miracle working power of your subconscious. Trust it, believe in its power, and wonders will happen as you pray. Your subconscious is the storehouse of memory, and within your subconscious are recorded all your experiences since childhood. Scientists meditating on ancient scrolls, temples, fossils, and other evidence are able to reconstruct scenes from the past and make them alive today. Their subconscious mind comes to their aid. Turn over your request for a solution to your subconscious prior to sleep. Trust it and believe in it, and the answer will come. It knows all and sees all, but you must not doubt or question its powers. The action is your thought. The reaction is the response of your subconscious mind. If your thoughts are wise, your actions and decisions will be wise. Guidance comes as a feeling, an inner awareness, an overpowering hunch, whereby you know that you know. It is an inner sense of touch. Follow it with the simplicity of faith. Okay. Going to go ahead and stop there with the reading. And all right, good to see you guys that have joined us since we got started. Awesome to have you with us. And so this is our opportunity now for everybody to share their thoughts, their feelings, their opinions, their ahas. If you've had some successes in your life already, utilizing the law of attraction to manifest money and wealth in your life, this would be a good opportunity to share how that worked out for you and help give others ideas and whatnot. Also, obviously, you can share what it is that you've learned as we've been going along, either today or in days past. And then the other thing that a lot of you guys like to do, usually it ends up being most of the discussion, is it's your opportunity to ask questions. So you can ask questions about the material we went over today, and or you can ask questions about manifesting more money and wealth in your life. So what you do, if you would like to share anything with us, is just come off of mute and start sharing. If two of you do it at exactly the same time or close, we'll get one of you going first and then the next one can follow afterwards. So here's your time to share and to ask questions, so go for it.
Hi, Kevin. My name's Stuart.
Hi, Stuart.
This is my first time joining you. I just wanted to ask you first. I mean, I read the blurb you put in Meetup, just to get more of an introduction to you. Can I ask you to explain a little bit about your background and how you came to this?
Yeah, if you, I actually, yeah, I'm happy to do that. I think a lot of the people on here know it, but you might not, and maybe some others don't. One thing I did do, and you could go review that after, is if you come join the our Facebook group, that message post at the top actually does go through that. But I'll go ahead and share a little bit.
That's okay. I can read it. I don't want to take up the time with other people.
It might be relevant. Some people want to know. I'll keep it simple.
Okay.
I've been impacted by many people, just like most of us. So I certainly can say I have multiple people, but there are essentially Two that have probably had the biggest impact on me as far as mentorship and training. One is a gentleman by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. Don't know if you've heard of him or not. You have? Okay, awesome. So I had the opportunity to actually be a consultant with them and an advisor, not one that went out and wrote books, but one that actually was brought on board to advise them. This goes back many years, and what I was advising them on is I have this kind of natural tact and inclination towards creating community. And I had created a big entrepreneurship community called it a cash flow club, but there were like 1,600 of them around the world at the time. And mine was the largest in the world. I had like 1,800 members. And I got a call from Robert's office and he asked me if I'd come to a partners meeting. And I went to the partners meeting and ended up for about 6 months being an advisor with those guys. In the process, of course, I learned a lot from them. They learned some things from me, and I definitely learned some things from them. So that certainly had an impact, being able to see inside out how their business operated and the thought process that he and his partners had in relationship to business, entrepreneurship, wealth, money, and whatnot. Another person a little bit later that is actually someone that I paid to coach me is Bob Proctor. Don't know if you've heard of Bob Proctor or not. You have? Okay, cool. So I kind of got some of the, well, I won't say practical because it's all practical. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship, business, and things from Robert and other people. Okay. But I wasn't getting necessarily the results that I wanted. And I asked people, I'm like, hey, have you ever felt like, and I'm sure a lot of us have, that, you know, you're told, find somebody who does what it is that you want to do what they do, and you'll get what they've got. Would you agree that we've been told that over and over and over again?
Mhm.
Except there's a piece left out. If you're doing the same thing that they're doing, but your programming in your mind is in a different place than theirs was while they're doing it, you're going to get different results. And you may not get the results you want, which is frustrating as all heck. Because you're like, I physically feel like, I mean, I literally felt like I walked in their footsteps. And, you know, I'm doing the same thing, but why are they succeeding? I'm not. And so that's essentially where I was at when I got introduced to more of the things related to law of attraction, and then started to learn how the universal laws worked and things like that. So anyhow, went through a process also with Bob. And it started out actually with one of Bob's coaches and facilitators before I hired Bob personally later on to coach me. But with that particular start there, my income, I had a job income of $5,000 to $6,000 a month, which, you know, it just was what it was. But by going through this process of retraining myself and getting my subconscious mind to cooperate with me instead of fight me, and knowing what it was I wanted and everything else, in a period of about, well, February, mid-February, and by April 1st, so February, March, April, not even that long, I was able to quit my job, and my income went up to about 50 grand a month on average over the next following 8 months. So it's essentially January, February, March, most of April, my income was $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And then after April for the rest of that year, it was different. I had 88,000 one month and 30 something thousand, but anyhow, it averaged out to $50,000 a month. And I used to work 50, 60 hours a week. My work week had actually been cut down to about 10 to 15. So, you know, some people are like, oh yeah, well, I make $1 million. Yeah. And you work 80 hours. I mean, that's okay. Right. I was happy making, you know, 50,000 plus a month at the time and working less than 20 hours because time is what it was I wanted. And I actually didn't set a money goal for $50,000. What I did is I was told to, so I did what I was told by Bob and others. You know, I understood entrepreneurship, business, and a lot of other things without having as much success. But once my subconscious got reprogrammed, and I also learned how to follow the laws of the universe in relationship to receiving money and wealth, all the other training I'd received prior started to work. I mean, it was like I had like this Midas touch thing going on. I could have made definitely more money, but I was more interested in my time than than money at the time. But what I had is I had a vision of the lifestyle I wanted. It just so happened that 50,000 covered it. Does that make sense? It wasn't a money like I need to go make 50,000. It
Right.
was, hey, 50,000 more than covered what it was that I was wanting, the way I wanted to live my life at the time.
No, I understand.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of a quick introduction to me. And then that was 15, let's see, 2021 now, right? That was this coming February. So next month, it'll be 15 years ago since I've worked for anybody else, and I still haven't. A busy week for me is 20 hours. If I'm working 20 hours, that was a long work week for me.
And you're doing the same thing now that as when you,
Different things. I've had multiple businesses. I've pivoted and everything. But the thing is, sometimes when, for instance, a crash, a market crash happens, right? Or COVID or whatever it happens to be, some people that are up on top, they get slammed and they can't seem to kind of make their way out of that. And they don't really know why. It's like, it, it's because of their programming. They weren't prepared in their subconscious programming to actually thrive during a pandemic, to thrive during a downturn in the economy, to when the market crashes or things like that. For me, it's been a little bit different. Those haven't had quite the same impact because my programming isn't based upon what you do or Trump does or Biden does or none of that. It's based upon how do I want my life to unfold? And then I trust that God and the universe will provide me the answers necessary and the help I need to actually receive what I want. And so what my life's mission is to just help other people do the same, not have the same stuff I have necessarily, but to go through that process, because once you've gone through that process and you understand how it works and you do it over and over, you can change what it is that you focus on. And eventually we want our subconscious mind is our autopilot system for us,
right,
right? If I say
mhm,
what's 3 times 9, what are you going to tell me?
27,
Right? 4 times 8.
22.
And I could go on and on. What's 362 times 237? You know how to get the answer, but you can't spit it out, can you? I mean, if you were this math, like if your brain worked that way, you could. There are people that are like, ah. I'm like, all right, that, but for 99% of the population, we can't do it that way. Why is that? Because when we were in school, what was drilled into us was up to about 12 times 12, right?
Mhm.
So that's the stuff we can just, and we don't have to go real deep to recall it either. It just comes out of us. It's become subconscious for us, right? Tying our shoes, driving a car, whatever those things are that we do over and over again. Our subconscious mind was designed to keep us alive, like when we go to sleep, keep us going still and our body functioning so we don't die in our sleep. It's there to help us do things like repair ourselves and whatnot. But its predominant purpose is to help us put things onto autopilot. The issue is it takes any program that it receives and thinks to be normal. Now, I'm not telling you it is normal. It thinks is normal. And that's what it does repetitively for you. So if it's normal for you to have money all the time, your subconscious mind won't let you go very long without having money.
Mhm.
If it thinks it's normal for you to get down to your last cent before money shows up, that's what's going to happen. It's and that's not necessarily what I want, right? But that's the program. And it thinks that's normal. It doesn't take normal from a dictionary and go, okay, based upon society normal, it's whatever's normal for you. So if there's a person out there that believes that they always have money and they get hit with a pandemic or they get hit with, a market crash or whatever, it doesn't take them down the way it would take somebody else down. Well, the other person was rich. Why did it take them down when the pandemic hit or whatever? It's the business they were in or whatever. You'll have guidance and direction to where that's not necessarily going to happen to you, even prior to these things showing up. What it is that the belief system, even of that person with money, says, oh, market crash is bad. Market crash is going to hurt. If a market crash happens, I'm in trouble. They don't go there and say that and repeat it to themselves all the time. But that's what the news has told them. That's what social media told them. That's what TV told them. That's what their friends told them. That's what their work colleague told them, blah, 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 blah. Therefore, the subconscious mind goes, oh, that's normal. It's normal when a crash happens that you've got to struggle because you just told me through, you allowed all this. You didn't necessarily want it, but you allowed it. You didn't reject it. You didn't have your own decision made up. Therefore, I took what you allowed to be input. So you either get to choose what goes in and becomes subconscious eventually, or you get stuck with being in the input coming from everywhere else, and eventually it'll sink in. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an introduction.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I have another thing to say, but I want to let.
Yeah, no, go. Don't worry about it. Go for it. Most of the time, different people will say things, but also they play shy. So
Okay.
ask whatever. You got me right now. Ask whatever you want.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I have experience learning about metaphysical things, so I'm familiar with law of attraction, on paper, but I can't say that I've been able to work it for myself. I have this chronic pain condition that I've had for the last 8 years or so now, and so the normal that you speak of in quotes for me that my subconscious mind thinks is difficulty, like a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. I'm spending my savings money. I mean, I'm grateful that I've had this, but nevertheless, I'm not I'm not in the black. You know what I mean? So I need to work this the power of the subconscious for two main things: for healing myself and for um, finding financial abundance. So
Okay.
that's just basic background about where I'm coming from.
Okay.
And I just want to make a little pitch. I don't know if you can see the title of this book is Money is Love.
Cool.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's
I haven't, but cool.
reconnecting to the sacred origins of money. It's a little about 85 pager, and it's a great little read. So
Cool.
if you're interested in right in line with what we're talking about here. So anyway, so yeah, so Kevin, you're doing this. I saw you're doing this until January 16th.
It'll keep going. I just stuck some date out there. I just got to update it. It's going to go until I decide not to, which could be 3 years from now. I mean, as long as we're having fun and we're moving forward, it's going to keep going. I do it because I like to share. I also do it because it keeps me engaged. And truthfully, these are things that I've studied already or been through. Like I said earlier, I've probably been through this book maybe 4 times in my lifetime, which is actually not very much. One of the first books we went through, Science of Getting Rich, I've probably been through that thing 40 times, but I felt guided to say, at the time, to pick this one right now. This is what we're doing right now. We started November 5th. And we haven't missed a day since, including Christmas, Thanksgiving, and whatnot. Not that everybody had to be there, but I was there.
Well, great. Thanks for your giveaway.
No, you're welcome. And some people end up becoming clients, and that's cool too. If you ever want to discuss something like that, we can do that. But, yeah.
Well, what's your if I can ask, like, what's your how are you making your money now? Just out of curiosity.
Currently, through coaching people. I've made a lot of money doing other things, but this is my profession. I just like Bob Proctor.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying I am Bob Proctor. Okay. I've been a coach for Bob Proctor. I've been trained as a coach and a facilitator for his programs, as well as my own personal experiences as an entrepreneur. That is definitely one of the things I have as a background. Is I have quite a bit of business background in addition to the law of attraction. So I tend to, and everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses and things that they're good at. Mine is specifically, I'm really good at helping people reprogram themselves so that their subconscious mind will accept them receiving the money and wealth into their lives.
Well, that's exactly what I need help with.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah.
I have sat and done the visualizing and talking to my subconscious before I go to sleep. And, pretty much, I mean, the stuff that we've been reading about here right now is I've heard of before, and I guess, attempted at times
Uh-huh.
implement. Yeah,
You,
but I
you've got
think,
you've got blind spots, and you have some really deep paradigms that fight you.
yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, you do. And so most people like that, they'll continue to do what they're doing. Eventually they'll say, enough is enough. And even though they don't know that that's the direction they're going, whether it's myself or someone else, they actually need help. You need to, if you think about this, you want to be I don't, right, I just say for a word, a millionaire. It's not really you want to be a millionaire. What you want is a lifestyle. And whether a million covers it or 10 million covers it or 500,000 covers it, whatever. But what you really want is to live life differently than you currently are. You want to be, do, and have more, and deep down inside that you are capable. You don't necessarily have your subconscious mind working with you. It's working against you. And because it's working against you, it's really frustrating. There's no amount of willpower that's ever going to beat the subconscious mind. There's no amount of that that'll ever overcome that. You got to
Yeah,
do
that's
it differently.
exactly where I am. I mean, I like to think of the subconscious mind as the kind of the super tanker out in the ocean, and it takes a lot of inertia to change its course, and that's how
No, no,
for me.
that's not true. I changed it. I went from middle of February, and by the time April had rolled around, so what are we looking at there? March.
Right. Well, there. I mean, that exactly illustrates my difficulty.
Right. Your belief about it.
Yeah, I'm convinced my belief about it is that. Right.
Yeah. So I help people with that, and just like I've actually helped different. I mean, they make more money than I do, but I helped Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter build their business. And I helped Sharon see some of the blind spots that she had. Even though they had plenty of, it's not like she was broke and poor. Okay. That was not the scenario. It was, hey, we're trying to build this thing bigger, and we have a project we're trying to create, and we're stuck. And so I helped them, and became friends and things like that. So I'm not saying, and here's the thing with the law of attraction, if somebody's ever going to be your coach and kind of trainer mentor, it's a relationship that has to feel right. You'll intuitively feel, hey, this is someone who can help me. And this is someone who probably should be the one helping me. If you don't feel that, then you don't do it, right? It doesn't mean that this one's smarter than this one versus this one. That's not what it's about. It's who you resonate with. Because if you resonate with someone and you feel that it's time, then you'll be open to doing what the person says. But if you're not open to doing what the person says, or you're going to come up with excuses when you're asked to do things, then it's not going to be a good situation. I don't think Tiger Woods fights with his coach, because I don't feel like doing that.
Right.
Even though Tiger Woods is wealthier than his coach, even though Tiger Woods is a better golfer than his coach. But what his coach has is he knows Tiger Woods' psyche, and he knows Tiger Woods' blind spots, or he can see him when Tiger can't. And so he's valuable to Tiger Woods, even though he might be financially doing better than that guy. I'm sure that guy does all right, though. If Tiger Woods hires somebody for a personal coach, I'm sure that coach is doing all right.
So what's the best way to find those blind spots?
To find a blind spot,
To figure out what they are.
look at your results. And if they're not what you want, there's a program in there that's going against what it is you want, especially if it's something you wanted for a while and you've put effort towards receiving it and you haven't received it.
Okay.
But sometimes they pop up in the middle of trying to do something. They'll try and sabotage you, or you'll sabotage yourself. You'll know possibly what you ought to do, but you will feel impelled to go do something that you're like, I shouldn't do it, but like, why am I doing it? It's weird, but it's kind of like having an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're addicted to the pattern of where you're already at. And you don't recognize that that's what's keeping you there.
Right. Get too comfortable.
And comfort's a relative word. I'm glad you used the word comfortable, because you're not, but you are. People, it's like, I don't have what I want, and I can't pay my bills, my car broke down. It sounds like a country western song, right? I lost my dog and my cat and my wife and my house. Everything fell apart on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those things are happening for a reason, or they're not happening. But the programming I haven't found any client that I've worked with for 6 months, and I always work with somebody for at least 6 months, because I don't just want it to work. I want it to become ingrained. It could start working much faster, but it doesn't become ingrained for longer a lot of times, right? But I haven't worked with anybody, either in a group coaching setting or a one-on-one setting, that did not make progress and were sitting in the same place they were when they started, that did the things that I asked them to do. Now, if they just flat out didn't do it, I only have one client I can think of right now that I'm like, that dude drives me nuts. I'm like, hey, if you want to talk for 30 minutes a week or whatever, but you don't want to do anything that you've been asked to do, and you always do about a third of what I tell you to do. Well, a third of what I tell you to do isn't going to get you there. I just flat out told him, it's your money to waste. Do you want to stop now? Because I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. I have no problem firing a client.
So I don't want to interrupt anybody here. This is Francine.
Hi, Francine.
Hey, I would like to share something. The first part of the reading today,
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh. I would like to share with you the fact that I know Lady Henrietta Benting, which is Frederick Benting's wife. I never met him because he died at a very young age, and she had a family home in my hometown, and I ended up buying a parcel of land from her, and one thing led to another. Her and I became very good friends. She had a practice in Toronto, Canada, but her and I became very, very good friends throughout the rest of her life, to the point that she even gave me more land around my house in her will. And the other thing is, so that really, I'm like, wow. And she was Lady Benting because obviously, they received the honor of being Lord and Lady.
Yeah.
And the other thing is my father, who was born in France, ended up in the resistance in World War II because he was too young to join the army.
Okay.
And him and his group were captured by the Germans, and they were in a prisoners camp. I don't know if it was concentration or what it was, but my father never really wanted to talk about it. But he escaped, just like this scientist did. And he ended up in Italy at the Vatican, and then from there he went to Canada. So it's
Awesome.
like, wow, this is very cool what our readings are showing today. And now I'm realizing the people that I brushed elbows with and were in my life, I could have learned a lot more than I did from them. Shame on me for not really learning more is what I'm thinking about.
Well, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear, right?
It's taken a long time late in my life to do all this. But anyway, I
Yeah.
just wanted to share that with you. It was quite a coincidence that two in the same first portion of the reading today. That was very, very close to me.
That's awesome. Thanks, Francine. Thanks, Fran. And by the way, I don't think you interrupted. By the way, if anybody ever wants to discuss coaching and you're serious about it, I'll just flat out say it now, make it simple. Group coaching is $5,000, one-on-one is 20 grand. Boop, there you go. No secrets, nothing hiding. All right. If you ever want to discuss it, email me, coachkevinsparks@gmail.com. That way we can kind of keep these things that are going on right now to the discussion of the material and whatnot. So, but I'm here for you if you ever want that. And I'm good at it. And I know I've helped a lot of people with it. But like I said, too, you got to resonate with the person. So any additional comments or questions for today?
Hey, Kevin, this is
Yes.
Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, I just wanted to share that since talking to you and starting with this group and whatnot, I've had this idea in the back of my mind of this product that I wanted to invent and make. And it was about 4 years ago, and there was nothing on the market. There is stuff out there now, but certainly not to the degree that I've been thinking about it. So last week, I think it was last week, I made the decision, you know what, I'm going to try this. Why not? And I knew an engineer who was brilliant, robotics and hacker, who I used to work with. I called him out of the blue. I didn't even know I had his phone number in my mobile, but I did. So I called him out of the blue. We talked 3 days ago. He said, I asked him, I was like, are you interested in doing this with me? He said, yeah, sure. I found out through my father that I had a family member who is an intellectual property attorney.
Okay,
So
cool.
he's lined up to help me. In fact, I just texted him while we were on this call. He said he has time this afternoon. So I'm getting free advice on how to set up a fair package between me and this engineer. The engineer told me he had, this was perfect timing because with COVID, everything's kind of slow and he's sitting at home and he'd love to design this for me. And when I went out to his Facebook page to reach out to him, I saw him standing there with an award for robotics at some conference. I was like, oh my God, this is like too easy. So already we put it together, the requirements, the minimal viable product requirements.
Uh-huh.
And we've set up a web share to design it together. And I mean, it's like within three days, all this stuff has occurred.
And you and I have been working together for what, week and a half?
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks
Just
now?
about 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I think on Wednesday.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I know, it's just a fun project that I've been thinking about forever. And when I was talking to the engineer about it, he said, well, I really do see the viability in this. It is a difficult problem. So, which is why there isn't one out there like it right now. So, but that's the kind of person he is. It's a tough problem. So I think he's going to sink into this and have fun with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank
Wanted
you, Stephanie. Thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions? Is there something that if you don't get it answered today, you won't sleep well tonight that I can help you with?
Hi, Kevin. It's Takira. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Takira.
I have a similar problem with the story synopsis about the ring and misplacing it, but mine is with photos that I lost in college, so 10 years ago. And I've even called the dorm that I stayed in a few years back, asking if anyone, they saw my face. So
Yeah.
I was wondering if they found them, but they said no. And my ex-fiance at the time, I asked him, he said no. And then he ends up getting married, and he wanted to bring me these pictures and my tuition bill and receipts that, he contributed to. So I thought that then would be the pictures that I cannot find. It's of my mom and my childhood, but I don't know if it'll still work because it's been 10 years. Like, that would be a miracle. Like, do I do the same practice to attract my photos back?
Okay, so here's what I would share with you in this, okay? There's no time limits forgot, first of all. If you feel, do you feel like it's still there?
I
Like you don't know where it
do.
is, but do you feel like it's still out there?
I do. I really do.
Okay. Okay. So the last time you saw those pictures, what were they in? A box, in one of those, how were they?
They were in my drawer, my dormitory drawer.
I mean,
So
were
like
they like 5 pictures sitting in a drawer, or was it like a box full of pictures? What was
it was like they were in a plastic bag, so it was
Okay.
full of pictures, and I just splattered it out in the dorm in the drawer.
Okay.
So like 100 pictures.
All right. So if you are going to imagine and visualize something, I would imagine you pulling pictures out of the bag and recognizing each one of the pictures and smiling and being all happy and joyful.
Okay. Okay.
I,
I'll try that
I wouldn't
today.
I wouldn't like, oh, try and figure out where it's at. I would
Right.
treat it as if you already found it. Like
Ooh.
let's
Okay.
pretend, I mean, it could come from a different source. Let's pretend you walk out your door today, and as you walk out the door, sit down, there is a bag or a box or something, and you open it up and there they are.
Oh my God, I would die. Not literally, but like
Well, I hope not. Right. But
I would be so happy.
that's the type of thing you would go imagine and emotionalize and visualize and feel good about, right? You
Okay.
already have them. So what do you do? So it's not the process. That's why I try and share with everybody. It's not the how to, it's not the process that you would want to focus on at first. You focus on it already happened, whatever it is, right? The be, do, the do, the have, it's already there. Or you're even a future date beyond that a little ways, right? Like, oh, you want the house. Well, you've already had the house for the last 6 months and you're throwing a party. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not,
Mhm.
so that's what I would do with it. The reason I asked you the first question, you feel like it's, and you're like, I do. Okay, well then there's a reason you feel that. Whether or not
Right.
you end up with those pictures, did you take the pictures or someone else?
Someone else. It was like when I was a baby and
Yeah.
like,
So
oh,
some way, somehow, maybe someone else has the
the same
original,
copy.
the film, the whatever. I
Mhm.
forget what the word's called nowadays. We're all digital, right? But
Mhm.
you get the point. The
Mhm.
negatives. I don't know why they call them negatives. I think they're pretty positive. But anyhow, that's why I couldn't say the word because I'm not negative. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. And also wanted to share with you that I followed your advice on this chill part of my life and doing fun things. So I booked a kind of a getaway for this Friday to Sunday in a almost 5-star hotel. And I didn't think about the price. I just said, oh, I'm super wealthy and I deserve it. And when I called, I thought I would pay one price for it. They actually gave me a neighborhood rate. So it was like $100 less. So I'm like, this is great. Like, Kevin, you are just really good at what you do and just reinforcing what we read is it's like really, it works. It really does. But my question is, I want to pretend that it's my apartment or
So then
like,
just do that. Once you get in there, it's yours, right? As long as in your head it is, it is.
Mhm.
In your
Okay.
head and your heart, and it feels good, then it is.
Now that's not gonna make me get kicked out of where I'm at now, right? Like,
No, no, no. But
okay.
well, I'm kidding around a little bit. What if you got kicked out of where you're at and instantly was given that other one? Would that be okay?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be
Okay, then
awesome.
yeah. So
But I don't like the idea of eviction or like,
no,
you know, I
no.
just want to
You can
make it.
create smooth transitions by being positive. Now, if you're worried that, well, because some people won't make a change or they go through this process of getting fired before they'll step out and do what they really should do, which is start their business or get a new career. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes you put out the desire, but you also have some fear on the other side of it. Just stay on the positive side, and it can be a smooth transition. It doesn't have to be painful and hard to transition from one good thing to the next better thing.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, Abraham Hicks says that the better it gets, the better it gets. We don't have
Yeah,
to
so
say,
why expect it to be, why do you have to have, some drama in the middle of it? You don't.
that's that brain, what is it called? Blind spot, I guess, that I
Yeah.
have. And I gotta work on that. Because I hate drama, absolutely cannot stand it. So I don't want to create it subconsciously.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Any additional take? Somebody looks like they want to comment.
Yeah, Kevin, could you speak to just, the peril of, subconsciously being either, whether it's, I'm not sure if envy or jealousy of others is the word. And, I'm diverse. And so one of my friends who's extremely successful, this guy's actually thinking about hiring me. We were at a club relatively recently. He's a member of a private club. We were the only two diverse guys there. And they always say you want to be in a room with guys who are 10 levels above you. As we sat there, this club has a private cigar lounge. I'm looking around and saying, I'm Ivy League trained. I know that both he and I, and we're close friends, are more educated than these guys that are sitting here. But each of them was 5 times more successful. And I know I don't have the resources to even belong to that club. And so I liked what I heard, because even the club itself, the area we were in, it had cigar lounge. These guys circumvented the rules of the municipality so that they could have this cigar lounge within their club. And so I think when you're around people like that, I'm like, it opens your mind to different things that they can do. And so I enjoyed that. Even hearing the roles and the businesses they were involved in, that piece I enjoyed. But then I will say subconsciously, there was a little part of me sitting there saying, damn, with all my degrees, these guys, and one I think was a trust fund baby, but the other guys were self-made. They're so much more successful. And I know that's a perilous thing to fall into, but I just, at my core, there was some, I don't know if jealousy or whatever was there.
Yeah, well, you worked your butt off to get and do and become what you thought was going to get you there. But you did it if you think about it, even getting into school sometimes, right? There's some competition for spots, right? So one of the things that you've been used to most of your life, Mikkel, you're used to competing.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why you're stuck. You're used to competing instead of creating. I'm not saying you're not creative. Don't take that as what I'm saying. I'm saying, though, that when it comes to manifesting what you want, you rely on your training, on your intellect, on your logic, on your ability to compete. And then you see this person or persons that you're like, I could take them down in almost any academic area. I could take them to court and win. I could do all the things that you're really good at, right? That you study, that you become proficient at. And yet this sucker, shows up in overalls and one tooth and has $1 billion in the bank. I'm not saying that's how they showed up, right?
Yeah. Nope, you're right on point. I was a better golfer than every guy in that room, but you're absolutely right.
Right? So what you got to understand is you don't receive the stuff that you've received so far in your life some's been easy, but a lot of it has been hard because it's been created and brought to you on the competitive plane. If you get off of the competitive plane and do this on the creative plane, it's going to feel weird for a while because you're not used to it, but it's just going to come. And then like I said, all of the training that you have will be even more effective if you even need to use it.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you read The Science of Getting Rich?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's things I can reread because you get something, the second time around.
Yeah. But that's what's going on. You're working on the competitive plane, and that's how you've been programmed. And because you've succeeded in some area, because you've won. Okay, not every time, but you've won. You've won enough times that it drives you bananas that you can't just win at everything because you feel like you should be able to. I've won at this, and this, but I see people that have not done what I did, and they're winning in the thing that matters to me. If they're not winning, you realize those guys, gals, whoever, whether it's guys and gals or just got whatever, the winning that they're doing is based on their programming, not on their skills.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everybody. I think we will call that a wrap for today. And I look forward to being with you again tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Have a good one.
Kevin,
Welcome.
Thank you.
Very, very welcome, all of you.